Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me, your host, Tommy Gilbert, as we sit down and take a behind-the-scenes look into Titan athletics with weekly interviews with coaches and athletes. This is Titan Table Talk. Hello, everyone, Titan fans, Titan supporters, Titan family, and welcome back to another season of Titan Table Talk. Excited to be joined by, somewhat coincidentally, most of our administrative team today. We have head football coach Norm Eash kicking things off. We'll welcome athletic director Mike Wagner in next, and we'll finish things off with head women's volleyball coach Kim Nelson-Brown. Coach Eash, welcome back for another season of Titan football, kicking things off this Saturday. You guys have obviously been on campus for several weeks now, finishing up camp, and any general takeaways from early going here?
No, it's nice to be in game week. We've been in camp for 2 weeks, and the camp is necessary. I mean, we have to get acclimatized for the game, and so it's went well. We've had 2 scrimmages. We scrimmaged Rockford College 2 weeks ago, and this past Saturday we scrimmaged Roosevelt University. Really good test for us. Roosevelt is a Division II program that's moving into the GLIAC, which is really the top Division II conference in the country. And we saw good things, but expectations are very high this year. We have a lot of returning starters on both sides of the ball. We have 8 starters returning on defense, 8 starters on offense. And the other thing that's going to jump out at everybody about our football team is we have 34 seniors. It's the largest class I've ever had. And they're all going to contribute, they all have roles, and that's going to make a big difference. So I would say talent, experience, and are going to be the driving forces in our season this year.
Yeah, and it's nice, as we talked about a little bit to some degree last year too, but when you go through a couple of those years where you're very young, and you have a lot of guys who are talented, who are maybe 9 to 18 months removed from high school football, and they're trying to step into a really difficult conference in the CCW. There's some growing pains there, but the flip side of that is that you get to play some freshmen and sophomores, and then when you're looking at a class of 34 seniors now, you're not looking at tons of seniors who are really getting their first chance to play. You're looking at seniors who have real experience going up against, if not the toughest, probably one of the 2 or 3 toughest football conferences in the country in Division III.
Yeah, COVID didn't treat us very well. We had a lot of players that had jobs, didn't take that COVID year. So we started playing some young kids. And so this senior class, there's several of them that have been 4-year starters. And we took our lumps back in those days. I mean, we went 3-7, 6-4, 3-7. We slipped a little bit last year, and that's because of injuries. But I think this group is ready to, take Titan football back up to the top. And like I said, our expectations are high. I think if we can get going here and get some success early, I think we can contend for the conference title, and I think that's what they want to do. But you got to win those ball games. It's earned and not given. We have a tough opening opponent in Central of Iowa. They're one of the top Division III programs in the country. Looking forward to this game. Last year we played them at home, but it was their second game, our first game. It's all equal this year. It's their first game, our first game. And so we're going over there with the attitude that, we need to pay them back a little bit, They beat us at our place, we can beat them at their place and get that first win of the 2024 season. And I have a saying, every time you win, you gain confidence. Every time you lose confidence. And so we want to earn that confidence and get ready for the CCIW.
Yeah, no week 1 bye for the Titans this year. Fortunately, you can dive right in, because preseason feels long already. And getting to jump in and play on September 7th this Saturday will be great. As you said, going out to Pella, Iowa to visit, of course, one of your former staff members in Jeff McMartin. I know it was maybe not nice on the field, but nice to have that home-and-home series with him. And again, when you're getting ready to face teams like you're going to see in the CCW, like you said, in terms of even scheduling Roosevelt as an exhibition game, you need to be prepared for it, and Central is definitely that test.
Yeah, scheduling Roosevelt is another former coach of mine, Jared Williamson, and he's done a great job up there. It's fun to play him, and they have some really good players if they're going into GLIAC and Division II. So it helped us to prepare for Central, because Central has a good team. Going against Jeff McMartin, it's fun. I'm very proud of what he's done. He got to start here at Illinois Wesleyan, and he has fond memories of Wesleyan. He's a classy coach. He's done really well at Central. So yeah, we have a good relationship, and it's fun to compete against each other. But we're not going to give him any wins. We're both competing on Saturday, that's for sure.
Most definitely, and maybe with the exception of Aaron Young, a lot more continuity on staff for you sometimes than you can see in football. And really, the only major change is not much of a change at all. Mike Yaros, after being away for a whole 8 weeks last winter, coming right back to Illinois Wesleyan as the passing game coordinator, so kind of working with you on the offensive side of the ball. And,
yeah, he came here as a GA and worked with our wide receivers and worked under 2 offensive coordinators. Worked under Reed Hoskin, who's now the head coach at Simpson College, and Aaron Young, who got out of coaching to do some professional work. So he's been under 2 coordinators. He knows Illinois Wesleyan. He's coming back as our passing coordinator, so I can mentor him a little bit with coordinating the offense. But he knows our players, he knows our system, and it's been a really good transition. I thought we were a little too complicated last year, and so we're trying to simplify things. He's done a good job with that, and just letting our players play on offense. And so, again, I'm looking forward. We have some talent on offense. We got to get the football in the hands of the right people, the playmakers. And if you make plays, then you're going to win games.
Most definitely, and obviously you have a big hand in the offensive side of the game for sure, but for a younger coach who's stepping into a partial coordinator role, should we say, having a couple of weapons like Miles Key and Trey Moore to work with in the wide receiver room does make that pretty nice. Obviously replacing a lot of carries at Seth Albin this year, Kevin Graham graduating as well, but those are 2 pretty big weapons as senior wideouts.
Yeah, those are playmakers. Miles Key is an all-conference player coming back. He was second in the league in receptions and yards last year, which is pretty impressive in our league. Trayvon is a playmaker. They're both what we call slot receivers, smaller receivers. But we have some big receivers in Jonas Capek and Jack Friedwall and Jimmy Dacey that we got to get the ball to. And then last year we were missing Josh McMillan at tight end. Got hurt in preseason and didn't play it down during the year. It really hurt us. He's back. So we feel really good about our receivers. Our offensive line, we got 3 starters coming back. We kind of had them out of position last year. We had Caleb Hines at right guard. He's really our right tackle, so he's back where he was his sophomore year. Peyton Philbin was right tackle, but he's back at left tackle. He's more comfortable there. And of course, you got Dylan Meyer, who's a captain. He's at left guard. So we feel pretty good about the offensive line. We're kind of looking for the center. That's either Trey Moore or Chris Mueller, and then the surprise of camp. And I kind of expect this from him, but we have a freshman starting at right guard, and that is Christos Alexandros. And he's 6'2", 295, and I recruited him really heavily, and I thought he could make an immediate impact. I didn't know if he was going to start or not, but he's proved his worth in preseason camp, so he's kind of earned that position. So we're set there. You mentioned Seth Albin. Yeah, we're going to miss Seth. He was a captain last year. He was our big back. But our running back room is really, really talented. I would say that the top 3 running backs right now would be Jahari Scott, which would be our captain, and Danny Kent and Mel Woodson. Of course, Jahari and Danny are juniors, and Mel's a senior. We can put them in at any time and not drop at all. And then there's a freshman that got my attention a little bit, Anthony Noto, that could really help us down the road a little bit as he learns our system. Quarterback situation, we lost Jay Lemonager to an injury. He had surgery about 3 weeks ago, so he's not going to be he will not be able to play this year, which is disappointing for Jay. But Dermot Smythe is back. He started 5 games as a freshman last year, and he had a good spring, and he's kind of taking control of things. Joe Brummer is back, and then we had a transfer in Chase Mackey, transferred from Quincy University, and so he's still learning the system. But we have talent, we have depth at all positions, so offensively we're ready to go.
Any particular units aside from the couple you've mentioned that you're really excited to see?
Yeah, I think we got to talk about our defense. High expectations for our defense. The defensive line could be one of the best in our conference. You have 2 all-conference returning starters in Josh Lavacek. He was all-conference as a sophomore, and we moved him inside a little bit to free some things up. And then Zach McNeese is back, and he led the conference in tackles for a loss and sacks last year, and he was all conference. So we'll build upon those two kids. We have Owen Faby back. He's a senior. He started 3 years. And then Nathan Smith has come on at defensive end, and Marshawn Griffin has come on, and then you got two guys inside, Matt Hansen and Alex Jackson. And so we're pretty deep there, and they're all really good players. So we're looking forward to that. I think they can really cause some havoc versus opponents' offenses. And then the secondary, we got 2 4-year starters at corner, which is really big. Jimmy Capecci and Artis Benjamin. Yeah, I had drew a blank there for a second. Artis is all conference. He's a captain, and is one of the top lockdown corners in the conference. So very happy about that. Still looking for those linebackers. You know, Josh Klein's back for a 5th year. John Gavin is really good there. Paul Zunkel is a senior. So there's some talent there. And then Joey DeMayo has a hamstring right now. He's at safety, and Cole Favors is in the mix there. And so there's some players that are going to step up.
Yeah, and that defensive line unit in particular, so important to be able to be disruptive there when you're talking about the North Centrals and Wheatons, who you're going to face. Central as well, Wash U in that mix. Teams that have big offensive lines, really, really talented, skilled players. Those guys, you can't be giving quarterbacks 4 or 5 seconds to throw all the time. And if you can cause a lot of pressure, you can stay in games.
We have size. We're very athletic on the defensive line, which is going to, like I say, it's going to cause some problems for the opponent's offensive linemen. But we got to make plays. I mean, we got to get some sacks. We got to put pressure on the quarterback. Tackles for losses. Those are all momentum changers, I call them. And we have to control field position too. I mean, we got to put our defense in a good position, and we got to put our offense in a good position. That's offense and defense working together. So we have strived to do that in preseason camp, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, and so much of that too is the special teams, and Jahari Scott got to shine there quite a bit last year. And I don't want you to have to give away anything necessarily. I think Jahari had 15 carries maybe last year with his perhaps increased role on offense. Do you expect him to play the same role on special teams?
No, he'll be on special teams. You don't take an All-American special team player off the field. But we have a lot of, like I said, 34 seniors. They're going to assume a lot of those roles because not everyone can be a starter. So I think we're going to have a very experienced special team group. Our kickoff person is back. That's Caden Youngie. He's got a strong leg. And then we picked up a transfer in Johnny Miles, and he can do both. He can do punt and kickoffs. And then we have a freshman, Gage Owens, he's 6'7", and can you imagine his leg swing on a punt? So we feel pretty good about our specialists. Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to seeing them perform.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing the Titans in action for the first time in almost a year this weekend. Once again out in Pella, Iowa. Season kicks off this Saturday afternoon. IWSports.com will have all the links you need to follow live stats and follow the broadcast from Central. Coach Eash, good luck this weekend. Thank you for joining us.
We're expecting to win on Saturday.
So we're excited to see it. We'll be back in just a few moments with AD Mike Wagner. And welcome back inside our very makeshift podcast studio this week. We're joined by Athletic Director Mike Wagner. In case you haven't noticed, through our first interview with Coach Eash, it's a little bit different look in here this week. One lone mic on the table, a couple of cameras, and no other equipment to be seen. There's some construction going on here at the Ames Library. We hope to be back in the regular podcast studio by next week, so if you hear the occasional bathroom noise from the wall behind us or a sink running or anything else, we'll be in better shape pretty soon, but we hope you're enjoying this first episode, and we're very excited to welcome in Athletic Director Mike Wagner. Mike, beginning your 10th year officially as AD this fall. How are we feeling about a new year?
Yeah, I'm very excited about the new year. You know, there's been a great energy around campus and all the practices and scrimmages, and then the contest that just started this weekend, and also kicked off with our all-student athlete meeting, last weekend before first day of classes, and then just having a new president on campus. Dr. Zanger I think has brought a new energy to campus and his excitement, and looking forward to kind of helping him, work out his vision and plans for the university to help us grow and thrive, in the current state of higher education.
Yeah, no, very exciting for so many of the alums and donors who are in town to get to meet him at the barbecue a couple weeks ago, and I'm sure many more will get to meet Dr. Zanger at homecoming, certainly. Just sneaking up on us here a little bit, October 4th through 6th this weekend is homecoming weekend. I'm sure many of you out there have already seen invitations, posts online, things like that coming in the mail. If not, you will get them soon. You can check out iwsports.com for all of the information about homecoming weekend. But anything in particular looking forward to with this year's homecoming?
Yeah, besides having our athletic contest, on Friday night we have our home volleyball match against Billiken, which we're trying to pack the house and possibly break the attendance record for Division III volleyball, which would be fantastic if we can pull that off. But also a couple soccer games, and then a home football game on Saturday. But also we're kind of having a celebration, an anniversary year this year with the 30th anniversary of starting the women's soccer program, and Tony Bankston was instrumental in starting that. Coach Bridges, hired Tony to be the men's coach, and as he was getting ready to walk out the door, said, "Oh, by the way, can you start a women's program too?" And Tony did a great job of doing that and getting that program started. And he's kind of reconnected with some of the alums that haven't been around and those that have been. And we're looking forward to celebrating, all things soccer at homecoming this year with a little tailgate reception, and then recognition at the football game, and then also at the soccer games as well against Carthage on Saturday.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun to welcome back so many alums, and as always the case, when you come back whether you graduated a year or two ago, or 10 or 20 or 50 years ago, you see some new things around campus every year. For those who maybe weren't out at the softball field last fall to see the video board that had been installed the night before, the morning of, whenever that was. That was phase 2 of the renovations to Inspiration Field in Carol Willis Park that was completed last year before homecoming. And of course, with the national championship coming up this spring at Inspiration Field, phase 3 is kind of getting underway this fall. So can you tell us a little about what that will look like out at the softball complex?
Yeah, we're super excited about I believe the last phase, but you never know. We're adding 114 chairback seats to the third base side, so basically the northwest side of where the press box was. I say was because the old press box has been removed now, and we're doubling the size of the press box, and that'll be a much better space for our athletic communications staff, our streaming, and for any guests that we have that would like to use the press box when it's cold out, because we have played softball when it's been snowing before.
Notable tournament a couple years ago where I was playing Christmas music between a lot of the innings. Yep.
Yes, for sure. But then just kind of renovating the concourse area when you first walk in. Some new concrete there, as well as a brand new gate and entrance fence. In addition to that, we are putting some drainage tile in the warning track and in the outfield. We put this new turf in last year, and we had a game last spring and realized that we had a lot of rain, and there's a lot of water on the warning track, and we didn't want to cancel a game after putting the turf in due to water being on the warning track area. So we put some drainage out there to help with that. And then we're also going to be putting a new center field fence in. Currently the center field fence is 5 foot. We're going to bump that up to 10 foot just to help with maybe the distance issue that we have. As everybody knows, we're landlocked back there. We have the Sugar Creek running back there. So we're limited on how far our center field fence could be. And a few years ago, the NCAA made a recommendation to have center field be at 225, and we're unable to do that. So we're just going to raise the fence up a little bit, and it'll also give a better backdrop and a better batter's eye as well for the hitters. So aesthetically, not only is it going to be functional and get us closer to what the NCAA recommends, but I think it'll make the field look a lot nicer and more professional.
Yeah, and that game you were referencing this spring, of course, for those who maybe aren't around campus a lot anymore, and don't know what Mike's job involves or what he chooses to make it involve on a day-to-day basis, it was in fact our athletic director who was standing out there on the warning track with Diamond Dry and a rake and going at it for about 20 minutes as we're all getting set to start that game. And it worked and it was fine, but prefer not to do that during the national championship next spring?
Yes, I prefer that as well. And so we're excited about all these final renovations, and we've had a lot of great donors that have assisted with that. Obviously Carol Willis, who's given most of the lead gift for a lot of these renovations, but a lot of alum and supporters of Illinois Wesleyan and Illinois Wesleyan softball have chipped in, and we're going to be sending out one last appeal here to kind of finish this project out with putting names on the chairback seats that those associated with the program or anybody else that would like to help with it. We'd love to put seats on people's names on the seats so we can finish this project out.
And it's been so cool to see those names in the lockers too when we redid the dugout a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The same with the renovation of so many of the locker rooms inside Shirk, to have a name on a plaque and a dedication, and it means a lot now, but when you get 20, 25 years down the line and can see some of that history and families that, well, they may be sending kids and grandkids to Wesleyan at that point too.
Yeah, we notice that a lot. I'll walk alums and families through the locker rooms, and they'll be in there and they'll take pictures next to their name or their father's name or mother's name, that are in one of the lockers, and they're excited to show their kids, their name or maybe somebody that they dedicated a plaque or a locker to as well. It definitely, I think it's good for everybody, and I think a lot of us everybody takes a lot of pride in being able to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's not just Inspiration Field and Carol Willis Park that will have some shiny new toys this fall, or this spring really, when that's finally finished. Some changes around Tucci Stadium and the indoor track as well.
Yes, we're excited that we were able to upgrade and do some upgrades to Tucci Stadium, the home of football and men's and women's lacrosse and track and field, with not only a new scoreboard on the west end to replace the old one that we had before, but a brand new scoreboard video board on the east side, which really will help us in many ways with whether it's alumni recognitions, dedications, with in-game experience, for our fans and student athletes. And we've had a lot of success and a lot of great reviews and excitement around the video boards that we put in the arena and then at the softball field last year. And it's just going to help us, raise the level of our already first-class facilities. So when we do get these opportunities to host championships and playoffs and other events, it'll really add to the experience and the aura of the field and all that. So we're excited about that. The new video board in the indoor track will really highlight and be great for all the indoor track meets that we host, including our meets, but also the high school meets, and including the state track meet, the unofficial state track meet that we host each year. We'll be able to put full places up there with other things and maybe even divide it out. So we can list some of the field events as well, so fans can see that. But it'll be a game changer for our programs, not only in recruiting again, but in the experiences that our students have while they're here and attending Illinois Wesleyan.
Yeah, and I think those have even been in the arena in the first year plus that we've had those boards. Really, I guess almost 2 years now.
Yes.
But you can see it has gotten more comfortable being able to use those in-game over time. There have been a little snafus sometimes with the in-game stats early on, but the quality of the video production put together by our athletic communications staff is just phenomenal. One of the things I think you don't necessarily appreciate if you're sitting there watching it is that we put the boards in. Katie and her entire staff through the last couple of years have had to generate a lot of graphics and have had to have somebody up there running it, and the videos they put together are incredible and a nice really compliment to what Tyler does with the streaming for sure. And it's just it makes it a different game day atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's the hype videos or the recognition videos that we do when we're honoring alumni and teams and all of that, to be able to do that. And Katie and her staff are already one of the top in the country, and to add this to their plate, I didn't get any kickback on it, surprisingly, but they love doing it as well, and they love putting out, just the great content that they do on a day-to-day basis, and it's just another avenue to be able to showcase, what they can do and what all of the things that they do mean to not only our department but to our alumni and friends and family and supporters of Illinois Wesleyan. So we're very appreciative of her and her team.
Yeah, we're so excited to welcome so many of you back to campus, even over the next few weeks as our fall sports start to play at home more and more. It's a little bit of a slow start to the home season here. We'll be getting underway. Soccer, obviously women open at home on Sunday. They'll be opening shortly. Volleyball this weekend, and then football towards the end of the month. So kind of slowly getting the on-campus sports back in action. Don't forget, if you're in town, make sure you make it out to check out both cross-country and golf when they're playing in town, even though it's not on campus. Really excited to get another fall underway. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be back in a few minutes with Kim Nelson-Brown.
Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate it.
And welcome back once again inside our very makeshift Week 1 podcast studio here. Our final guest of our first Titan Table Talk episode of the fall of 2024 is yet another Associate Athletic Director for the day and our head women's volleyball coach, Kim Nelson-Brown. Kim, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Congratulations on a fun and challenging start to the season this past weekend of the Wittenberg Fall Classic. Big win on Friday to open the year against Mount St. Joseph, a team that you guys have played early for the last 4 years now. A couple of very, very high drama 5-setters back in 21 and 22. Not as much so the last 2 years, a 3-0 sweep for them last year, and then a 3-0 sweep for the Titans this year, 25-20, 25-19, 25-22. It looked like one of the cleaner matches that you guys have played on opening weekend in the last couple of years that I can remember. How'd you feel about that on Friday night?
It was great. I mean, I would say John Spivey, who is the coach at Mount St. Joe, after the match, he was like, I was really trying to get you to call a timeout. And, it's funny because sometimes timeouts are definitely needed, and I've called my share. But, the whole time I felt like we were in control. And that's not typical when you coach a match. Usually at points you feel like, okay, we're losing it, or, they definitely lost it. I felt we were in control even when the score was within a point of each other. And a couple times that Mount St. Joe went ahead, I still felt like we were in control of the tempo and just the overall feel of the match. And so, it was really clean. It was great because we had a great practice the day before. So as a coach, you always, is that a good thing or a bad thing? You always hope it's a good thing, but sometimes it can jinx. They do so well and then they take the day off, So, it was good. It was good to open that way. I think we had a bad taste in our mouth for those that were returners because last year we played so poorly against them. But typically it's a really great match. I respect John and what he's done with his program and the success that he's had. And obviously to start the season with a win on a regional team, because they're in our region, that was great. That was huge for us.
Yeah, and Taylor French, 11 kills at 364 after not really being available for exhibition matches. Bardenitis with 8 kills. Cannon Boyd transfers 16 digs in her first match as a Titan, and then the 14 service aces.
I think 8 of them came in the third set. I mean, our serving was on point for sure, and the girls did a great job hitting their zones and making them move and taking them on a system, which they have a phenomenal setter on Mount St. Joe's team, and she really does a great job distributing the ball, and she struggled because they just couldn't get a pass really to the 10-foot line. So that's kudos to our servers who went back there and were aggressive and had confidence behind the line.
Yeah. A little bit of a tougher Saturday, of course, but Otterbein, probably from afar the most impressive looking team this weekend, played 9 sets, won all 9 of them. 25-16, 27-25, 25-21 in that one. Titans had a couple chances in the second set to try to pull something out there. But definitely, was it a little bit bigger challenge than you expected from Otterbein?
No, I knew they were returning quite a few, so we knew it was going to be a challenging match. And I thought we would match up better than what we did. Unfortunately, we just never really got into a groove. There was a lot of different things that were struggling, like we get passing, but then we couldn't offensively put the ball away. We struggled with passing early on. And so our hitters were really hitting a lot of balls out of system, and our setters were trying to make something happen out of that. So there was a lot of different components of why we struggled, but Otterbein was a great team. And you can see by the way they dominated the tournament this weekend. I mean, they pretty much came in and took care of business. But they were scrappy. I mean, like, they came up with some huge digs. I think in the second set, we definitely had the momentum there at the end. We got a little tight, and we've got to learn how to play in those tight moments. We had the opportunity to score, and honestly, we were down 1-5, and I think we finally kind of settled, and then we fought our way back. So there was a lot of different opportunities for us to score and finish, and we just didn't. So that's just something that we have to continue to work on.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, facing opponents like that the first weekend it's obviously
good.
what you've tried to do for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Sets you up for what should be a tough CCW slate, but also that, especially when you talk about Mount St. Joe and getting a regionally ranked victory early on. I mean, this stuff matters a lot when you're not playing a conference where you can remotely count on coming out of it. So.
There's no gimme wins anymore. No. There used to be, but not anymore.
No. And then the final match the weekend, a 3-2 5-set defeat to Baldwin-Wallace. Really, that to me, when I'm sitting here thinking from your perspective, that feels like the one that got away a little bit this week.
It does.
Pretty much controlled the second and fourth set. I think it was 76-61 on points. Led in kills, aces, assists, and digs. Hit 137.
So when you look at the stats and you go, we should have won that match. And I think it was just, key moments that we just gave up 2-3 points in a row. We had the lead at the turn when we switched sides in set 5, and I think, again, just played a little tight near the end. And instead of learning how to just trust the process and what we've trained and that they can work through those moments. But I think that'll come with some experience. And again, I'd rather have it now, opening weekend, and we can build on that and improve on that as the season goes along.
Yeah. A number of, obviously, returners in key positions this year, but a couple newcomers, including transfer Cannon Boyd, a couple of freshmen in Bardenitis and Niepagan, Rack also that got some meaningful playing time this weekend. What'd you see out of the group making their debut as Titans?
Good. It's one thing to be in practice. It's another to be put in a game. I think Izzy was seeing a lot of reps during, and Alex were seeing a lot of reps because Frenchie was on the sidelines during a lot of our exhibitions. So they got some playing time. Haley really didn't. And so, nor was she on the starting side at any point in our practices. And so for her to really literally be thrown out there, she did a great job, So she's adjusting. I think the hardest position for any player coming out of high school to college is middle, because the pace of the game is just that much faster, and we expect them to be up and be an option, and a lot of times in high school they just kind of outside's going to get the ball, and so they're used to not getting set. So I think Haley has adjusted well quickly and stepped in and filled a need we needed this weekend.
Yeah. It'll be very exciting to see the Titans in action at home this weekend. Yes. Just talk with Mike a little bit about how the slate of September home games, home tournaments, home events across all sports is pretty light this year. But the first IW Classic coming up this weekend, it's a 6 p.m. Friday first serve against DePauw, and then 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Saturday with the morning game against Loris, the afternoon against Webster. I know you probably have been recovering from this weekend a bit and doing some individual meetings and all that, so I haven't had a chance to look too much ahead to that tournament this weekend, but your 2 seconds worth of thoughts on this weekend. 2 seconds.
I think all of them are going to be a good competitive match. I know Loris returns everybody. She had a younger team, so I know Christy's going to return everyone. Mary at Webster, most of her players returned. She had some kids, we saw them at the end of last season, and they had several kids that were key players for them out with injuries, so I do anticipate that they're going to be a strong team for us this season. And DePauw has always been notoriously a strong program that we've competed against. Tonight is film night, so I'll be watching all of their games from the weekend. Pretty much everything's been loaded up now, so I can start breaking down and really getting to know their players a little bit better. But always, all three come from good conferences and strong programs, so we know it's going to be a tough weekend, but we play like we're capable of. We should be okay.
Yeah, for those who have a Saturday morning free or want to stop by at 10 a.m., that is the matchup of longtime Illinois Wesleyan assistant Christy Duncan and the Loris Dewhawks against the Titans. 2 final thoughts for you, Kim.
Sure.
Number 1, I think we got to give a shout out to Taylor French on the 1,000th career kill this weekend. 17th Titan to do so, not the 17th to do so in opening weekend of junior year.
Yes, she's number 1 to do that, I believe. So she's had a great career so far. We're excited that she still has 2 seasons left. To achieve that honor, as quickly as she has is pretty special, and we're excited. You know, the big thing is keeping her healthy. I mean, that's the battle we've faced all along the last 2 years, and I think this year we're more balanced than what we've had, so hopefully, you know, with balancing out our offense, kind of like what we did against Mount St. Joe's, I think we had like 3 or 4 people with 19, 20 swings. If we can keep it like that, then we know that we're going to keep her healthy in the long run.
Mm-hmm. And then the final thought, your husband Brian, in his retirement, one of his little gigs has been helping a friend who does golf ball removal from, I think, 70, 75 or so courses in Central Illinois and beyond. Brian's out at Prairie Vista this afternoon pulling balls out of the water, and the question for you is, how many of those will be your golf balls that he's pulling out of the water?
I actually said to him last night, I'm like, if you see any of mine with the green smiley face, make sure you grab them for me. There's quite a few in the water for me. That kind of explains my golf game a little bit.
There's a lot of water at Prairie Vista, I'll give you that.
I found every single one.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Kim. Good luck this weekend, and don't forget, check iwsports.com for all the links to the live streams and everything for the first home volleyball tournament coming up this Friday and Saturday.
Thanks for having me.